what happened with the league investigation of the Falcons that caused them to, as they say, dock them a 5th round selection, I believe, in next year's draft, and fine the general manager Terry Fontenot $50,000 for tampering? Is that officially what they're calling it? With their
Yes.
What do we got?
So I this has sort of been a big process, and I think part of the issue here, and I feel like I can speak a little bit more freely about this now, is there are situations in the NFL. I'm just talking broad strokes here, right? There are situations in the NFL where everyone agrees that it would be good for things to go one way, right? And for certain things to happen at a certain speed. And I do think, like, for everyone involved in the Kirk Cousins situation through those weeks in March, there was an agreement that the best thing for everybody, whether it was Kirk's camp, whether it was the Falcons, whether it was the Vikings, whether it was anybody else, Denver, whoever thought about dipping their toe in those waters, the best thing for everybody in that circumstance was for Kirk Cousins to agree to terms as close to noon on that Monday as possible. And so sometimes when there's an agreement that that's the best thing, there's some looking the other way that goes on, right? And the league does have to come down on that stuff, but this feels like one of those situations to me where there was a lot of, I think, people in all spots there agreed that the best thing for the Falcons, the best thing for the Vikings, the best thing for every team involved was for Kirk to make a decision quickly so everybody could move on. And because it did happen quickly, it helped the Vikings pivot and go get Sam Darnold. It affected the way the Falcons were planning going forward from there as well. It helped everybody. It helped Kirk, right? Like, it helped Kirk. So, I do think that this is one of those scenarios where this is a little bit of a victimless crime, and this stuff happens more than people know. And I don't know that the league really wanted to open some Pandora's box where it's like, okay, now we're coming down really hard on this, and now are we going to be chasing a half dozen cases, like it every single year?
So they just ticketed him for going
jaywalking.
Yeah, is it jaywalk, right? Tamper walking or something like that?
Yeah,
Because why? Because Cousins basically decided I don't want to go here anymore. And
I feel like this is simply because of the PR part of it, because it got out there, right? And because some of the things, there were some people that slipped, and because some people slipped and said some things, it just, like, I think that's why, is like, because it's out there. And I think this almost feels to me like the league saying, you know what, we have to do something. All right, guys, like, let's figure out something. We will handle it the way we need to handle it. We know that these things happen sometimes. We can't, everybody knows where the line is, and everybody knows, like, that you can, take a couple steps over that line. Just don't dance over it. Just don't spit on the line. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, that's what it feels like a little bit to me, where this is jaywalking, but it's just a reminder to everybody. Just don't be blatant about it when you do it. But we understand that these things happen sometimes, and in a lot of cases, they're victimless crimes that benefit the parties involved.
So what was it? They reached out to him too soon? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, it was the communication part of it. Yes, is what was at issue here. And I mean, look, like, I do think, again, like, to me, like, the Vikings, I guess, if you want to, put this in the terms of a court of law, the Vikings would be the plaintiff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the plaintiff, like, I don't think that this was like something that they were fervently like, yes, we want charges pressed here. You know what I mean? Like, now maybe there were some people in the building that felt that way, but I know a lot of people didn't. Like, I don't think this was that big a deal to the Vikings, which is probably a pretty big part of the league's decision making here too. And again, like, I think you look at the end result, and the end result is that, like, the Vikings wind up, being able to move very quickly on another quarterback because the Kirk thing got done fast, and the Kirk thing doesn't get done that fast. I mean, no one's under the illusion that the Kirk deal or any of these other deals that get reported at like 12:22 or 12:34 or whatever else on that Monday, no one's under the illusion that everybody just snapped their fingers and made those deals come to life.
Well, I mean, there is a window, if you will, that is now legal in which to talk to somebody. And I guess what you're saying essentially is that the fact that Cousins left Minnesota isn't because the Falcons reached out too soon. It's just that Cousins was gone based on the knowledge of their conversations with him, and that was the end of it. Unless there's other people in the building that think otherwise.
I think it was. It was down the line.
Right.
Like I don't think anything was done. No. But like I think everybody. I would say like I think everybody had a good idea of what the landscape was.
Right.
And I think the Falcons were able to push it over the goal line afternoon on that Monday. But like again, like I mean, look, when I was young covering the league, you probably remember this combine. Rich, like you remember like how like the combine used to be right before free agency, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, like it was like the combine like ended on like Wednesday, and then like Friday at midnight the free agency started. I remember like there was this one steakhouse. I think it was like I can't remember if it was like it was not Prime or one of those or St. Elmo's, but it was Ruth's Chris. It was somewhere that was like relatively out in the open.
Yeah.
Like Dan Snyder was out to dinner with like, Albert Hainsworth's agent. You know what I mean? Like everyone saw it. And it's just like, all right, like, and then it gets done like in the wee hours of that Friday morning. We all know what happened.
So, last one on this one, I guess.
You have to remember that, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, come on, man. And especially since the combine. I mean, everybody just goes out and about. So I guess if they lost the draft choice in 2025, it's a good thing they got their quarterback of the future already, huh, Albert?
Yeah, the hope of getting Tom Brady in the fifth round in 2025 is now gone for the Falcons. So good thing they took Michael Penix, 8th overall.
I couldn't end that conversation without taking one last gratuitous shot. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.